Hi, welcome back to Journey into Stories. Today we're going to do my February wrap-up. In the month of February, I read 14 books, so I'm really happy with that. 2 of the books I'm not going to discuss in today's video. I'm going to do a special video on each of them, so I'm not even going to mention them, but both books were 5-star reads, and I'm not going to make them a book spotlight because I'm not talking about them in this video. Also, 2 of the books that I read were the puppy picks, The Shadows and House of Glass. And I also already did a video on those 2 books with the puppy review. So won't go into depth with those 2 books or the 2 books in the near future that I'm excited to do for you guys. With that, I'm going to talk about 10 of the 14 books. The first book I read for the month of February is A Child Called It by Dave Pelzer, and I gave that 3 stars. This was a very emotional book for me to read. Goes into detail, a very significant case of child abuse, and I heard people discussing it, and I'm just going to give you just the blurb. A Child Called It. The unforgettable account of one of the most severe child abuse cases in California history. It is the story of Dave Pelzer, who was brutally beaten and starved by his emotionally unstable alcoholic mother, a mother who played torturous, unpredictable games that left him nearly dead. He had to learn how to play by his mother's games in order to survive, because she no longer considered him a son, but a slave, and no longer a boy, but an it. Dave's bed was an old army cot in the basement, and his clothes were torn and raunchy. When his mother allowed him the luxury of food, it was nothing more than spoiled scraps that even the dogs refused to eat. The outside world knew nothing of his living nightmare. He had nothing or no one to turn to, but his dreams kept him alive, dreams of someone taking care of him, loving him, and calling him their son. I gave this book 3 stars. Did it bring me to tears in multiple accounts of what he went through? Yes, it was very, very hard to read at times because you don't want to think of anybody living a life like he lives. The next book I picked up was The Couple Next Door by Shari Lapena. I gave that a 4 star. You never know what's happening on the other side of the wall. Your neighbor told you that she didn't want your 6-month-old daughter at the dinner party. Nothing personal. She just couldn't stand her crying. Your husband said it would be fine. After all, you only live next door. You'll have the baby monitor, and you'll take turns to go back every half hour to check on the baby. Your daughter was sleeping when you checked on her last, but now, as you race up the stairs in your deathly quiet house, your worst fears are realized. She is gone. You never had to call the police before, but now they're in your home, and who knows what they'll find. What would you be capable of when pushed to your limit? This was really, really good. I usually love all of Shari Lapena's books, and this was no exception. I gave this 4 stars. I just can't imagine that happening. I'm blessed with 2 beautiful children, and I that was always one of my biggest fears. Was I a bit overprotective? Yes, I can't imagine it would be one of your worst fears to have your child go missing. Okay, the next book I read is Ozzy Osbourne, Last Rites. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars, was a huge fan of Ozzy Osbourne, watched his reality show with his family back in the day. Do love his music, was very sad to learn last summer when he passed away. One of my kids told me before, I think even the news people reported it, and I thought it was a cruel joke. Sometimes social media says so-and-so passed away, and it wasn't true, but I'm unfortunately, this was true. It just really went into his life. It talked about behind the scenes and everything. Let me just give you a little glimpse. People say to me, if you could do it all again, knowing what you know now, would you change anything? I'm like, no. If I'd been clean and sober, I wouldn't be Ozzy. If I'd done normal, sensible things, I wouldn't be Ozzy. Look, if it ends tomorrow, I can't complain. I've been all around the world, seen a lot of things. I've done good and I've done bad. But right now, I'm not ready to go anywhere. At the age of 69, Ozzy Osbourne was on a triumphant farewell tour, playing to sold-out arenas and rave reviews all around the world. Then disaster. In a matter of just a few weeks, he went from being hospitalized with a finger infection to having to abandon his tour and all public life as he faced near total paralysis from the neck down. And it goes further into detail. This book, while I was reading it, I thought he has like 9 lives, literally. He kept getting near death on many occasions, and yet he would bounce back. And it just, the humor in the book, and even if you're not an Ozzy fan, it makes you want to be an Ozzy fan. You know, he is so good at discussing things that he did right in his life, wrong in his life. And again, if he didn't do those things, would he be Ozzy Osbourne? I've mentioned this before. It reminded me of when I was in the hospital in high school, and my aunt told me that she rode up in the elevator to come see me, and Ozzy was in the elevator with her. I said, yeah, right. But he actually was. All the nurses, he was so kind to everybody, and it was all the gossip, and this was back in the day. So unfortunately, I wasn't in the elevator with them. I was recovering from surgery, but yeah, it was a neat story. So I have my own, you know, once removed by somebody. So I had to read that book. I was so excited while I was reading it, and it was really, really good. Okay, the next book I read was 4 Seasons in Rome on Twins, Insomnia, and the Biggest Funeral in the History of the World by Anthony Doerr. This was a good book. I rated it 3 stars. I believe, if I'm remembering, I listened to it on audio, and I think he narrates the book himself, if I'm correct. It starts from the award-winning author of The Shell Collector and About Grace, and I haven't read either of those books, comes in a memoir of the timeless beauty of Rome and the day-to-day wonderment of living, writing, and raising twin boys in a foreign city. And he and his wife with young babies moved to Rome so he could write. And it was a really lovely book, made you feel like you were in Rome. It was fun to read because I also was able to go to Rome back in 2018 with my husband and our 2 kids. And it just brought up memories of being there with them. And here he was there with twin baby boys. And I mean, he just talks about parenthood and writing and the atmosphere and the food. It was a lot of fun eating Italian food, real Italian food over in Rome. And the people were wonderful that we met, and it was really lovely to read. So I really enjoyed that book. Okay, and then the next 2 books were the puppy picks, and I already did the review. It was The Shadows and House of Glass, and I talked about those reviews in the puppy review of February. So already talked about those. The next book I read is Ask for Andrea by Noelle W. I think it's Eiley. I was sadly disappointed in this book. I only gave it 1 star, and on Goodreads, I'm looking at it right now, it averages 4 stars. So it's probably me. It's probably not the book. And it did come highly recommended to me. I didn't vibe with it. Okay, it's about Megan, Brescia, and Sky have just one thing in common. They were all murdered by the same man. He hunted them online, masquerading as an eligible bachelor. Then he played the perfect gentleman, a thick layer of charm and a 1,000-watt smile, hiding the fact that his first dates end in shallow graves. He's gotten away with murder 3 times now. The only thing that might keep him from killing again, the women he murdered. It goes on a little bit from there. I gave it 1 star. I didn't enjoy my time with this book, sadly, but feel free to pick it up. It does do good on Goodreads. It's 4 stars on Goodreads. Okay, the next book I read is 25 Days by Per Jacobsen, and this I think I talked about previously because I bought it on Audible. I wanted to wait until the holiday season in December, but I couldn't wait that long. And I got it read actually in 1 sitting. I enjoyed this book. I did give this book 5 stars, and it's The Countdown to Christmas has never been scarier than in this internationally best-selling holiday horror novel from Per Jacobsen. Hoping to bring his family closer together, Adam Gray arranges a vacation in a remote cabin on a snowy mountain. Things take a dark turn, however, when someone starts leaving gifts in the Christmas stocking mounted on the barn door. Every chapter was by somebody else's point of view. Mother, father, and 2 daughters. It was really, really good. I will probably reread this in the month of December. It had creepy vibes, isolation. I can't think of a better matchup, like horror, thriller, mystery, whatever, with Christmas, the most joyous time of year, or some people say. So it really, really had a great story, great plot, great characters. You get to care about the characters, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. The next book is Someone in the Attic by Andrea Mara. And this book, I rated 2 stars. You thought you were home alone. Anya is enjoying a relaxing bath when she hears a noise coming from the ceiling. Through the open bathroom door, she sees the attic hatch swing down, and a masked figure drops to the floor. 30 seconds later, Anya is dead, and this isn't giving anything away because this happens right away. You're not afraid of being alone in the dark. You're afraid you're not alone. Across town, Anya's old school friend, Julia, sees an online video of a masked figure climbing out of an attic. And then it goes into too much detail again. This, again, I only gave 2 stars. There were parts of this book that just dragged for me. At first, I thought, wow, this is really, really good. It grabs your interest right away, but then I got a little bored. I hate to say that, but I did get a little bored with this book. The next book I read was Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy. And I think this is a new release relatively recently. I gave this book 2 stars. I gave her first book 4.5 stars. I'm glad my mom died. I did enjoy that book. This book, okay, she can write. It just was not really my cup of tea. You could tell by the title, Half His Age, that it's going to be an age gap romance. I'm not going to go into detail about who it is with. Sad, funny, and thrilling novel about class, desire, loneliness, the internet, rage, intimacy, power, and the oftentimes misguided lengths we'll go in order to get what we want. It just, I don't know, very, very detailed. I mean, age gap romance. I just found some things have stuck with me. I'll never look at chili fries the same way. Let's just put that out there. It's just an age gap romance, and very detailed, and that stuff usually doesn't bother me. It didn't bother me in this book. It just, okay, it's the same thing over and over and over, I guess is what I'm thinking. I didn't care for this book. I did enjoy her first book, though. I did enjoy, I think she narrates her own book, so that's always a plus for me when the author narrates their own book. And speaking of, I'll go into the next one, is Chasing Evil, Shocking Crimes, Supernatural Forces, and an FBI agent's search for hope and justice by John Edward and Robert Hyland. This was a really good book. I enjoy following some psychic people. I follow John Edward, and it's how a skeptical FBI agent reached out to a famous psychic for help on a baffling case, and the 25-year crime-solving journey that followed. In the summer of 1998, FBI agent Bob Hyland reluctantly picked up the phone to call the famous psychic John Edward. Bob didn't expect much from the call, but he was working on an unsolvable cold case and had nowhere else to turn. What Bob never imagined was that the call would lead to a shattering of all his preconceived notions, a huge break in the cold case, and an unlikely crime-solving partnership that spanned 25 years. So he has a hard time believing in John Edward, but then over 25 years they become close friends, and John Edwards helps him solve some crimes that he's been trying to figure out over the years. So this I gave 4 stars. Really enjoyed the audiobook. They read back and forth. That kept it entertaining, and you just wanted to hear how John Edwards was able to kind of piece things together that he didn't know about, which helped lead the FBI agent to break through some cases. I have heard that some psychics have helped police, but this really went into depth about different things. So I enjoyed that book. Okay, the last book I'm going to talk about is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris, and this will be my book spotlight of the month. I gave this 5 stars. I've owned it for a very long time. Just got to it, and let's give you a little synopsis. Everyone knows a couple like Jack and Grace. He has looks and wealth. She has charm and elegance. He's a dedicated attorney who has never lost a case. She is a flawless homemaker, a masterful gardener and cook, and dotes on her disabled younger sister. Though they are still newlyweds, they seem to have it all. You might not want to like them, but you do. You're hopelessly charmed by the ease and comfort of their home, by the graciousness of dinner parties they throw. You'd like to get to know Grace better, but it's difficult because you realize Jack and Grace are inseparable. I'm going to leave it at that. When something major unravels in this book, I had my jaw on the floor. I couldn't believe what I was reading. It totally did a 180 in my brain. It has stuck with me. I thought it was this, and then, like a roundabout. What did I just read? It was so good. 5 stars. It's going to stick with me for a very long time. I'm excited to get to some of my other books by B.A. Paris. I loved it. And the future 2 books were also 5 stars. So overall, I had a couple of 5 stars, a couple of 4 stars. I had a couple of 1 and 2 stars. But I would say the month of February was really good for me. I enjoyed it. I got to a lot of books that I've been wanting to get to. How could I not be happy with that? So this is the first week of March, and I'm doing good so far. I hope I keep the momentum, because towards the end of last year, I really wanted to make my goal of the 100 books, and it was a lot towards the end of the year. So if I can maintain, I could go over 100 books, which would be incredible for me, because I don't think I've ever done that. Maybe once or twice. Really excited. Just decided kind of last minute that we're going to film tomorrow A Journey Reads. Got the book on audio. It's not a newer book. Love it. I've read it before. I've done actually a short on it, and I've always wanted to go back to this location and read physically, listen to the book, and it's manageable. It's very manageable to do in this location, so I'm so excited to do that. And with that, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourself. That's very important. Make sure you always are kind and take care of yourself, take care of one another. And this was February's wrap-up 2026. It's a little late, but here we are. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. Have a great day.